So why would any sane person choose to spend 5 months in the mountains? This is the PCT. And this is the 2,500 mile mark. I might be getting a little ahead of myself, so let me turn back the page to April 14th, 2021, when my wife and parents drove myself and my daughter down to the border of California and Mexico to begin our hike of the Pacific Crest Trail, a 2,653 mile journey that would take us from the border with Mexico to the border of Canada, a trip of a lifetime. Ultimately, it was a 5-month journey, beginning in the rugged desert mountains of Southern California, carrying me into the heart of the unrivaled grandeur of the Sierra, over the fires, heat, and ridge lines of Northern California, through the eastern mountains of Oregon, and ending in the wondrous wilds of Washington. The desert will test your courage. It's a section of firsts. It's about throwing your first pitch and catching your first hitch. It's about making and celebrating your first miles. It's about your first wildlife encounter, both small and large. It's about heat, cold, sun, wind, and rain. It's about hiking miles. It's about finding out that everything you thought you knew about Thru-Hiking might not be true. It's realizing your plans and expectations need to be held loosely, and what first brought you to the trail may not be what keeps you on the trail. It's about directly facing lingering fears and deciding to push through them. And as you do, as if in reward for this increased courage, the trail provides. For it's also about meeting your first heroes and enjoying your first zeros. It's about the amazing generosity of strangers. It's about the absolute bliss a shower, bed, food, and beer will provide after 5 days in the wilderness. It's enjoying towns like Julian, Idlewild, and Wrightwood, and remembering what it was like to be a kid who craves McDonald's for days. It's about new friends, new experiences, and even new names. It's where I became known as Benihana and found a family who would share the journey ahead. Ultimately, it's about moving out of your comfort zone, because your comfort zone will kill your dreams.
Action!
Trail names, a thru-hiking tradition. It's the tradition where hikers take on another name while on trail. It's why you meet an Alex, Christine, and Tony on the first day of the hike and call them Mountain Goat, Fire Ant, and Naked Hiker by the end of the trail. In fact, as hikers continue on the trail and meet one another, they may never know each other's real name. Now, trail names have a few basic rules. First, you're not allowed to give yourself the name. The name needs to be given to you by another. This usually comes about by a funny incident on trail or tendency of the hiker. You do have some control. While you cannot give yourself a name, the second rule of trail names is that you have the right to accept or reject the name. Trail names are the reason you hike with a butterfly and camp with a restart, moonshine, Laffy Taffy, and Whiffy. It's how you make miles with a yard sale, Ripper, and Chemo. Ultimately, it's how you share beers with a Rhapsody and Mug, and maybe even a Benihana. The Sierra. Pronounced Sierra. Not Sierras, not the Sierras, no S at the end, no multiples needed. Simply Sierra, because there simply is no place like it in the world. You have entered the wild and wondrous. Nature's Disneyland and God's own mountain cathedral. You enter it hopeful, excited, and, if honest, a little bit intimidated. For you know the Sierra will test your strength. While the desert built your muscles, the Sierra will push them to their limit. Forester, Pincho, and Mura, names of mountain passes, which you come to both love and loathe in equal measure. For the Sierra is about climbing, peaking, descending, and repeating, pass after pass, day after day, as you cross over the highest elevation and most remote section of the trail. Yet for every test, the Sierra gifts you with a feast for both the eyes and the soul. Sunrise at Mount Whitney, sunset at Evolution Lake, celebrating every pass, resting in every meadow, crossing crystal streams, diving into mountain lakes. This mountain range takes you to and past your physical limits. But as you exit the Sierra, you realize everything is possible. Hitching, hitchhiking, or thumb in a ride, another thru-hiking tradition. Before Uber, there existed the power of the thumb. A simple gesture which opens the door to random acts of kindness. It causes strangers to willingly pick up dirty and smelly hikers, leaving you humbled and amazed. Hitching becomes a godsend for both your feet and your mental well-being. For the irony of being a thru-hiker is that while you willingly hike 2,653 miles, you despise and avoid walking any additional steps off trail. Built in the desert and forged into iron by the Sierra, your body is now a well-oiled machine ready to conquer the trail. 1,092 miles down, but still 1,561 more miles to go. Northern California will test your endurance. It asks, are you willing to endure hiking 10 miles out only to turn right back around as fires close the trail? Are you willing to endure the repetitive routine of hiking 10 to 12 hours a day? Are you willing to endure the heat and climbs over and over, knowing the next 700 miles still leaves you in California? The age-old question asks, how do you eat an elephant? The answer, one bite at a time. That answer could not better express how you need to approach this section of the PCT. Not even halfway through the journey, it's easy to be overwhelmed. But the bites you are now able to take out of the trail are bigger than ever as 25 miles a day becomes the norm. So you hike a marathon for a chance at a hot meal and a cold beer. So you take the uncertainty of your plans as opportunities for adventure. So you push yourself to new limits, maybe even notching your first 30-mile day. So you hike and you keep on hiking because you are an unstoppable physical machine capable of reaching seemingly impossible heights. Watch out, Canada, because here you come. It's undeniable. Excitement permeates the trail. California dreaming no more, you have made it to Oregon. You have heard the stories and the promises. They say Oregon is flatter and miles come easier. They say Oregon will propel you to the finish line. What or who could possibly stop you? Well, for me, in Oregon, that answer was me. In Oregon, I almost left the trail. The reality is the PCT will test your will. Maybe it was the return of long water carries, or the constant smoke-filled air. Maybe it was not seeing my family. Maybe it was witnessing a friend leave the trail due to injury. Yet, the truth is, no matter how good you are feeling, at some point, you will hit a wall. Some days on trail simply suck. In fact, the suck can be overwhelming. In that moment, the trail demands every hiker answer the question, why? Why do you hike, and what are you willing to endure to reach your goal? For me, completing the trail was about reminding myself and my family to never stop dreaming, never stop setting and living out audacious goals, and never stop celebrating the adventure that is life. This is my why. It is your why which propels you north and gives you strength to take one more step, endure one more day, and overcome one more obstacle. Washington has come, and Canada is calling.
Saw you paint a picture of a face, a face that wasn't even close to mine.
Washington, you were worth the wait. What I longed for in Oregon, I received in Washington. The strength to finish the trail. Walking across the Bridge of the Gods into Washington is like walking back in time, yet clearly seeing your future. Visions of your first day on trail intermix with the reality the trail is nearly done. No longer counting up the miles you hike, you have begun to count them down. Just 500 miles separate you from the border. Yet Washington is no mere walk in the park. Instead, it is measured in equal parts of wildness, ruggedness, and unpredictability. Washington will test your spirit. The trail's final hurdles are amplified. The climbs are steeper and weather comes in stronger. Yet despite the reality that each hiker faces these challenges individually, you never truly overcome them alone. Carrie Job writes in her song, The Blessing, "May His presence go before you and behind you and beside you, all around you and within you. He is with you. He is with you. In your coming and your going, He is for you." For me, this song was a constant reminder that when my spirit was weak, it was my faith in God and the people He placed in my life that would carry me through. The gift of shared memories, like camping with my trail family at the end of a long day, receiving a care package from family and friends off trail, being welcome in towns with names like Skykomish and Thru-Hiking, and finding that a group of strangers can become friends over one shared night in a cabin. These were the moments that carried me up and over Knife's Edge, through the wilds of the northern Cascades, and ultimately brought me to the border. In the end, each hiker will leave the trail, but the undeniable truth is the trail will never leave the hiker. This is the PCT.